You're on CarTorque with Matty J. Welcome to another Tuesday night. More car-related topics as always. I'm joined in the studio with James from Man vs Movies.
How you going?
Not bad. And Callum, what's going on, man?
Yeah, not much.
We have Callum on his way because we are doing a WRX Rex special for the fully hectics with vape. But we got to go to a quick short break, and we'll be right back on the other side of this one. You're back on CarTorque with Matty J. So tonight, as I mentioned previously, we are doing the WRX special. But in the meantime, before Alan gets here, I saw... You've seen what the new Civic Type R looks like?
Probably.
Well, I actually
I'm
saw
the
one...
wrong person to ask.
I saw one for the flesh for the first time in like...
Was one at the meet?
One was at the meet, and that was the
I
first
probably
one.
saw it.
Yeah, that was the first one. It was a black one we saw at the meet.
Yeah.
And because I've seen them in pictures, and everyone's really not too keen on the looks of it because it's a bit far out. So, and I was on that wagon even when I saw the black one. But then on the way here, I saw a grey one.
Oh.
It's like a gunmetal grey, and it really shows off the accents of the car, and it really makes it look pretty damn special, to be honest with you. I would totally rock one of those now. I'm convinced that is a cool car.
It's the new Focus RS for you?
No, not yet. Nothing with Focus RS, unfortunately. But I was really, really taken away by it. I thought it was really, really cool.
Is that the one?
That's the one, yeah, you're looking at now.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
James is showing pictures in the studio.
Maybe lighter colour maybe shows the accents better than the black one.
It does, because the one at the Mighty Callum Nationals we saw was a couple of weeks ago now. It was full black. It still looked pretty cool. But I still wasn't too keen on it. I thought it was a bit choppy and very angly. But having said that, seeing it was like a gunmetal greyish.
Yeah, the grey one looks nice.
It looked really, really good. It made the cars completely stand out. It looked way different to what I expected it to be. But anyway, tonight's going to be the first night of CarTorque where we do specials of different cars. So
okay,
I'm introducing this new thing with the show. So like every so often, or like every couple of weeks, if I'm not talking about an event or something like that, we'll be doing a special regarding one model of car. And I thought, what better way to start with than a car of Ram Raid heaven, well, here in Australia anyway. And the car that's set Subaru on the scene, or for Subaru on the map, for pretty much for every country in the world, is the Subaru WRX. Now, WRX stands for World Rally Experimental. Just
I didn't know that.
There you go. Bit of trivia for you. But I will give you what I'm going to be calling car in a minute. But this might go for longer than a minute. So, this is all you need to know about the Subaru WRX throughout its generations, because it is quite a popular car. Still, yeah.
This sounds like a good thing you're doing. I like this.
Yeah, it's mixing it up a bit because Subarus in general are very usually seen as more just econo box cars and stuff that you'd throw away after a few years. Not a real car that you'd really want to keep. But Subaru with their all-wheel drive and which they've really pushed forward on some of their cars today and from a few years back, they really stand the test of time, and they're really strong, well built cars. So for them to foray into the world of WRXs and turbocharging was a real kind of step forward for them, as well as for, I think, car culture in general. As we are joined by Mr WRX himself. Alan, what's going on?
Nothing much. Apologies for the tardiness.
That's all good. I was late today as well. Got stuck in tons of traffic and copped 2 trains.
I only copped the one V-line.
Oh, the V-line.
They're changing all the level crossings, but they haven't paid any attention to the Glenroy one.
The Glenroy one is probably the worst one in the state. It's
I get stuck there every
Glenroy
time.
represent.
Glenroy represent. G-Roy!
I leave an hour before just to get here on time. Like, that's insane. I live like 15 minutes away.
That's unbelievable. All right, well, I don't know if you're listening on your way in, Alan.
I was. I believe you just started speaking about the Civic Type R.
Civic Type R, yes. Which I saw one in grey for the first time today on my way here, and I reckon it looks spectacular. I was a bit I didn't really like the normal looks of it, but in grey it looks unreal.
Now, is this the same Civic Type R that did wicked laps around the Nürburgring.
This is the same Type R.
I thought it was going to be available in Australia.
It is. It is available in Australia.
What kind of price are they looking at?
Around 50 grand. So around the same price as a Focus RS. Now, what would you have, an RS or a Civic Type R?
Well, as you said, the Civic Type R look isn't for everyone.
It is.
But since the car can perform, I feel like it has a right to look the way it does.
I agree.
But I'd still see myself going for a Focus RS.
Yeah. Tell me why, Alan, before we get to the Subaru WRXs.
Before, everyone's going to call in and we're going to get a tonight special. The drift button. No.
It is very true.
The drift mode. No, but overall, I just... For some reason, the Focus RS speaks more to me. Just the way it looks. Maybe I'm partial to the blue colouring. But it just speaks more to me. Just a kind of like all-wheel drive, or even though Civics is an all-wheel drive.
No, it's front-wheel drive.
Oh, so front-wheel drive.
Yeah, front-wheel drive turbo, yeah.
Screw that. I'm all about the all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, so, Focus RS has got
Focus
it there.
RS all the way.
But that being said, I believe the Civic, the numbers
It's a very
speak for
capable
themselves.
car.
Yeah. Still Focus RS.
I saw a stat, and it said that the latest Type R lapped the Nürburgring quicker than a early Zonda.
Jeez.
That's pretty incredible, right? That's pretty nuts.
When you get like the $1 million cars and then you get the
Civic
the
Type R.
Civic Type R.
Well, anyway, since you are Mr WRX yourself, as previously mentioned, I'll be doing specials where each episode I'll be talking about one car. Obviously, we'll still be having a normal show here and there, but we're going to be talking about certain cars in particular. But today we're going to be talking about all about the WRX, and I'm going to start it with the history of WRX in a minute. It's probably going to be longer than a minute, but this is my introduction to it, and I'll start it now. The world of rallying. Subaru were using the Legacy RS. So the Legacy, it is known here as the Liberty. But Subaru decided to use a car smaller in size but with the same layout or with all-wheel drive. Born was the Impreza, a car smaller than Legacy, Liberty here, but retains Subaru's now trademark all-wheel drive along with front-wheel drive versions. Although it was essentially in a Econo box, it housed the potential to dominate the world rally stage. A lightweight yet rigid body was the beginnings of what Subaru thought to be a rally winner. The first WRX was introduced in 1992. It had a 2-litre flat 4 dual overhead cam on both banks with a turbocharger. This engine, the EJ20 F4, went into the first WRX, which came in 2 body styles originally, sedan and wagon. STI got their hands on the Rex, and it went from quick to ham. Arguably, one of the reasons the Rex was so successful, not as a rally car, but as a sales success, was because of the flying fin himself, Callum, where he helped Subaru take the WRX to 3 constructors championships. A model later appeared as a 2-door, and it had various, and throughout the original series run, had various models throughout its 8-year run. North America never got the WRX, but they got the early Impreza. They only got the WRX until the second gen GD series, which housed 3 versions. GD also came as the GG wagon, which went through 3 versions as well. Ultimately known to car enthusiasts as the Bug Eye, Blob/Peanut Eye, and the Hawkeye. STI again worked their magic on these models, and the engine size grew from 2-litre to 2.5 for both models, STI and WRX. The third gen. So just clarifying, we'll take it back a bit. There is WRX, and then there was WRX STI. So for those of you who are at home who are like, what the hell is he talking about? The STI was like the more powerful version.
And it doesn't have anything to do with diseases that are transmitted.
No, it doesn't. It's not a sexually transmitted infection. The third gen came out to confused fans, but got better with age, just like me. There was a hatch, then a sedan came later, to which everyone thought was needed due to people not liking the new hatchback styling because they thought it looked a bit Kia Rio-ish and not what a WRX should look like. Initial impressions weren't good either by automotive journalists, calling it a soft version of what's supposed to be a hardcore rally car for the road. But over time, Subaru honed this version, and it got better and better with age. The STI got multi-mode stability control and driver-controlled center differentials. The 4th gen WRX dropped the Impreza name altogether. And more importantly, dropped the EJ series based engines, and they brought in the FA20 style engine. which is a direct injection and has a twin scroll turbocharger. The size of the car grew too, as did structural stiffness, to try bring back the rally car for the road feel by really making it a tight and agile package. The WRX's closest enemy, the Mitsubishi Evolution or Lancer Evo, has long gone, but now the WRX faces competition faces new competition from Ford's Focus RS and VW's Golf R. Is there still a place for this car in the world of hyper hatches, or is the WRX a reason why car enthusiasts still lust for the old brutal style turbocharger all-wheel drive fun? To you, Callum, what is your take on that? Do you think I covered the WRX well?
I think you covered it very well. Just from the beginning, like the Impreza started in 1992, the same year I was born, one of the best years in the world. But I think you did a pretty good job of covering it, and you actually encompass some of my feelings as well, because after the GD series of WRXs and STIs, I kind of did feel like the new generation WRXs were a bit, I can't really describe it, but not up to par, I guess you could say. But
Yes.
as they went on, they did
improve it.
and the new styles did grow on me. I still love the Pinot Eye or the Blob Eye, which is parked outside.
Which is what you have. Yours is only a 2-litre though, isn't it?
Yes,
Because I believe in the Hawkeye the 2.5 came in the just WRX as well. So that was when they changed it to full 2.5 across the range.
Yep, and I was particularly interested when they dropped the Impreza name altogether. They went straight for the WRX, and I suspect P players have actually favoured that, because since the WRX is now just the base model, they can actually get that because there are some rules where they say if there's a lower powered variant of the car that's been released, you're supposed to buy that, and you can't have the excuse of buying the higher end model.
Okay.
It's also related to power and weight these days.
Yes, it is.
But I've seen a lot of people have been driving just the WRXs around. I don't know if it's fully legal.
It is true.
Unfortunately, I'm not a people anymore, so it doesn't matter to me. But for those people out there that are looking for a nice performance car while they're still on their P's, give that a look.
Yes, especially
If you have the money.
If you have the money, especially. Now, reason why WRX is... sorry, I'll start again. I got my first taste of WRX by my friend's WRX. He had a GC8 late... It's a late GCA. It was 2000... It was a 1999. It was in green. It was like a dark, like a Brunswick kind of green. Had Liberty Gen 4 wheels, which looked really, really good on it. And it had like a massive blow-off valve and like loud exhaust to give it that, obviously, that WRX noise. I went in that for the first time and it scared the crap out of me. Honestly, I was like, "Holy crap! This is like a new kind of fast." My mum actually ended up driving that car, and she's like, "Yeah, this is. I can see why these cars are are really, really fun, but like they're really, really scary because the original series was so small and light and agile." If you park one up to like a new WRX, you can instantly tell that the WRX is a much bigger car. Now, my question is, do you reckon from all journos' perspectives of the latest one, it is still a really good car to drive, but it has lost some of that fun factor that the original one gave? Now, I know Subaru is keeping on with the WRX, which is a good thing, because considering Mitsubishi has dropped Evo altogether. But do you think, in the world where hyper hatches are kind of taking over, is there a place for the WRX?
I feel there still is a place for WRX, and I guess you can kind of see that in the direction they're moving. They are making it a larger size car a little bit. They're kind of differentiating it from that hot hatch market, or they're trying to, at least. They seem to be. And I think it still holds on to it's not fully holding on, but it's still holding on to that legacy of... Yeah, legacy.
I saw what you did there.
The legacy of what the Impreza was and what the WRX and STIs really hold, how they're performance rally cars. And I think they're still... You can certainly see it in the car's design. You can certainly tell in the car's performance. So I still feel, at least for the time being, they do have a place. That place may slowly grow smaller and smaller over time and may grow non-existent, but... For the time being, I still believe they have a place.
But you see, you WRX fans, and I know James into his Impreza as well. Subaru have always been synonymous with like their all-wheel drive and stuff, and it really, really shone home in a WRX because their grip was unbelievable. And this was at a time when car enthusiasts, especially in Australia, like I know when we first got them here, there was not really anything quicker than a WRX. Like you'd buy a WRX, like you couldn't be caught. Famous story goes that the coppers used to use 5-litre Commodores and Falcons, and they could never catch them. So like when they'd be doing ram raids in their WRX, the style of WRXs, they would like honestly play with them and leave them. So what the police did, they went and bought WRXs, and that was the only way they could keep up.
I remember actually seeing an undercover WRX in gold.
Really?
Pulling somebody over.
No
as
way.
a kid. This was I'd say 2001 to 2002, around that era.
Yeah.
And he just pulled over a truck. He didn't pull over anyone extravagant, but it was a gold WRX. So unassuming, you would not expect that to be a cop. And it was just, I was amazed.
That's pretty damn good. I was reading the latest issue of Unique Cars, and they got a WRX special in there about the original WRX. And they said that it was only until Holden or HSV made 300 kilowatts that a Commodore could out accelerate a WRX. That's how quick they were back in the day. And if you get in like an early GC out today, they're still a quick car, like really quick.
Because some of them, especially, were the 206 kilowatts gentleman's agreement cars.
Inverted commas.
So you know they were pushing more than that.
Oh yeah,
and just great time.
Good time, but good car. For me, why WRX? I reckon the fun factor, because if you ever drove, I mean, you've driven on, but getting behind the WRX, the seats hug you. You instantly know you're in for an event. Like, okay, like the interior plastics are a bit basic and stuff, but you know, I know. On my ideal WRX, I'd get a Series 2 GC8, you know, white dials and everything. Just turn the key, you know it's going to start because it's a Subaru. Get in it and just throw it around some corners, and it will stick, and it will reward. It rewards driving it hard. And I think that's the best part about a WRX is that, because you can pretty much throw everything you can at it, and it'll still bounce back and be like, you know, is that it? Because like, you know, you can go absolutely ham, but feel rewarded, and it's a very rewarding car to drive, because you know at the limit they're very what's the word, forgiving, like from what I've experienced, because it'll let you know what exactly it's doing, and not many cars can, like, especially at the time and period, would be able to do that. Like a lot of cars would just be like, no, you're into a tree. You're into, whereas a Subaru would be like, you got grip. Now you're pushing it. Now we've got understeer. You know, and we got there's a tree coming. You might want to fix that up. But yeah, WRX for me, that fun factor, just, you know, to take them to the hills and stuff. It's a car that'll do everything. It's a car that'll go quick in a straight line, and it'll go quick around corners. In the famous words of Callum, straights are for fast cars, corners are for fast drivers, and a WRX is for fast drivers. So I believe that makes them an awesome fun car. And yeah, if you're driving an early one, it actually makes you feel like it actually still feels like a proper rally car for the road. You know, you've got that all-wheel drive. They're very raw. Even the later model, like the current kind of, you know, contemporary WRXs are still pretty raw in the fact that they've got a bit of lag. They're not like the, you know, like new turbos. They've got like the you know, small turbos, so they spool quicker. You still feel, you know, the turbo rush. You still feel, you know, like you're actually being impacted in the car, and you're not feeling like it's a computer. So I think that's being the beauty of a WRX.
And I certainly think the Boxer engine is a very unique thing.
It is.
You got like flat sixes and stuff in Porsches, but the Boxer engine isn't very common around the motor car world, and especially when you do run at least the older generation, or the current, not anything that's not really the current generation stuff. They've got the unequal length headers giving you that nice rumble.
That's exactly right. That's wrong.
It kind of like hurts me that they've, at least for some of the cars, I believe they've taken that away.
Yeah.
Or are the newer models all...
The newer models, you can't really hear it, to be honest. Yeah. You can hear it a little bit, but they don't sound as good as they used to.
Because I heard some of them that were just pushing for the equal length headers just for just more even kind of power production and everything else. But I feel you're losing character from the car. The car's always been that sweet, sweet rumble, which, as Jeremy Clarkson said, heralds the arrival of a moron.
Yes. Exactly right.
It's part of the car's beating heart, and I think you really shouldn't take it away.
And it sounds like a beating heart, like that throb, like it actually sounds like a beating heart. Even my mum knows when a WRX is coming. Like that, she was like, "Oh, it's a Rex." I'm like, "Yeah, it is a Rex."
So when I'm trying to sleep at 2 a.m. and I hear that, the rumble coming on. Like, yep, Subaru.
And it's a good noise, and it's one of those with anti-lag is like you're hearing like a Colin McRae on a rally stage. They're awesome. I freaking love it. Now, values of WRXs, they tend to hold their value quite well.
They do, especially if you look after and don't do terrible things to it, I guess you could say.
Like, there's modding, like there's acceptable modding, and then there's just stupidity modding. So I think like the whole sex spec stuff's kind of gone now. Like it's those auto salon days are well past. But in terms of still modding it today, like you can do your tasteful mods here and there, like a bigger cooler, stuff like that. But if you go completely nuts, their values kind of really drop real quick.
Yeah, and most of the time, if you're doing reasonable performance mods and you're not, say, just homebrewing everything you've made, I think, like, in terms of any kind of performance intercooler, any kind of performance exhaust, they won't, I'm not going to go out and say they'll probably increase the value of the car, but they certainly won't harm the value of the car.
I mean, everyone's putting an exhaust on a WRX, let's face it.
Yeah. Mine's one of the few rare ones that doesn't.
Coming.
I'm looking to change it, yeah. So it's just one of those things, when you're not doing any kind of like particular harm to the car, and if the changes are reversible, a lot of times you're not in any kind of trouble. It's when you've really ruined things and just cut out pieces and cut out your catalytic converter or bashed it in, as one guy was describing to me.
Bash the cat.
He had a GC8. It was a hatch, and he had done so many modifications to it. There was it was missing the blow off valve, the stock blow off valve. He had put on an aftermarket one that was venting completely to atmosphere without a tune. So it was backfiring because we may or may not have had a race, and I saw him backfiring. Anyway,
in Mexico.
In Mexico, of course.
Yeah.
But just when he popped the hood, the car was. You could tell somebody wanted to get some power out of it, but did not care.
Yeah.
And I think that the harm's a car for the current owner, the next owner, and if you can avoid it, why not? I mean, it's your car. I'm not going to come beat you up if you've ruined it.
Yeah.
But I think if you can just try to keep everything tasteful, it's probably just better in the long run.
I also think the reason why values are really good for WRXs is because WRX owners, like people like proper enthusiasts for WRXs, really really love their cars, and they know what they know what to look for, and they know how to look after them. I just saw reading this in the latest issue of Unit Cars. Early WRX models are worth really, really good money. I didn't realize how expensive they were, and I found out a few reasons why from a bit of research. Because because early ones they fall under the power to weight ratio, so P players are getting them, and they're all getting trashed. So the values of them are skyrocketing. Now, 2 WRXs went for auction recently. One an early like Series 1 base model GC8, immaculate condition. Guess how much it sold for at auction?
So this is GC8 WRX or STI?
GC8 WRX. The STI is coming. We'll get to the WRX first.
24?
It was 24 grand. Did you see that?
No. It just seems like a...
What the heck? That's 10 points. You win the car quiz already.
But that seems like...
that's an unbelievable figure for an early WRX.
Considering I paid for mine, it was now 3 years ago, I paid about 10.5 for a 2003. It's quite a lot more.
Yeah, and an original STI, guess how much they went for at the same auction?
I'm feeling 32.
Not even close.
What, like 45?
Not even close.
How close? How high are we getting?
Keep going.
80?
Almost. $76,000 it went for.
That
for
is
an original
crazy.
STI,
Jeez.
Immaculate condition. It's this white one here in the catalog. It's a 2-door. The 2 doors are going nuts.
Okay, it's a 2-door.
Still though, it's I mean, considering 5 years ago, the 22B here was like 100 grand. That is ridiculous money.
So these 2 doors are the Pro Drive ones, or
no? They're the proper factory built cars, just a factory STI. But it's an original STI, and they're worth crazy
76.
That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money for a WRX.
That is GTR money.
That is GTR money. That is bloody 35 GTR money now, because you can get a second hand for like 85 grand. So I mean, for people who are buying these cars, have obviously had them, I reckon, years ago, and have regretted selling them because they were that good.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I highly doubt there would have been like somebody who's kept a hold of it, just because when the newer cars came out, I mean, they some of them can compare the GC8s with the 206 kilowatts. But, people probably ended up moving on and everything else. And now, once the values are climbing, they definitely would be kicking themselves. Just the gentleman that had the other GC8 that had done terrible modifications to, I think he actually owned another GC8, and he was also kicking himself. I saw his posts on Facebook. I'm sure his R33 Skyline, it's a GTR, keeps him happy, but he still misses selling that car.
Yeah, no,
it looks similar to the white GC8 here, but it was a four-door.
Yeah.
It was an STI.
It was an STI as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, very nice. Well, look, we've got to go to a quick break. We're going to go to a song by Richard Macklin. The song's called Neon Bastard. We'll be right back after this. You're back on CarTorque with Matty J. Still talking all things WRX. Stu. Still in the studio with Callum, Alum, and James. Now, additions to look for, because I know James got a few questions, which we'll get to very shortly. But I think some good ones to get. I mean, the Japan had a JDM only version, which was called the RA. I don't know if you heard about the RA, which was it was a stripper version. So basically, it had nothing in it. Had no ABS. It was pretty much had no electrics. It was just a car that you'd pretty much take and just straight to the rally track. That it was made for people to buy it and just put a cage in it and race it. They're actually pretty sought after because one, all of the original ones were just beat to death and destroyed, and two, because they reckon they're the most raw WRXs. There's nothing in them, and that you can get the most value out of them because they'd be the quickest one too, because if they've got no electronic aids, no extra weight, and of their time they would have been the racer's choice. Now, to celebrate Subaru's 3 constructive championships and their 40th anniversary, they created the ultimate, well, it's not really a WRX, but it's an Impreza, the 22B. So, and we've spoken about the 22B a few times in this show. It's a 2.2 litre, just wide body, crazy. It looked like it looked like the actual rally car that Colin McRae drove. And they're worth a crap load of money. They're worth minimum 150 in Australia, minimum, for essentially WRX. But apparently they're a pretty special car. Even back in the day they were something else, and today they're still, from all accounts, they're a pretty spectacular car.
Like if you were buying it at the time, you knew what you were buying.
Oh yeah,
you knew what it was, and you knew it was going to appreciate. You didn't have that worry in your mind, I guess. The
4, I think they released 4 here or so. It was so little they released here. One fell off the shipping yard and went into the water.
That's hilarious.
It actually got taken out and got all fixed up, and it got brought back to New Zealand, I believe, and then it's in New Zealand now. So it actually got submerged. It was in the water, and it was destroyed. But they rebuilt it, and it's in New Zealand. It's a story. You have to look that up. I'll try to find it and link it to our Facebook page. But the 22B, it's one of those rare cars that I don't think it's ever depreciated, because they were pretty expensive when I think they were 70 odd grand when they were new. They have never went down in price. They've just constantly went up. So it's, I mean, you never really say that about any car. Every car depreciates before it appreciates. But because there were so little 22Bs that they really, really hold their value, and instead of paying signing the dotted line and losing 10%, you gain 10%.
Yeah,
it's one of those rare cars.
It's a very unexpected thing to be saying that for a Subaru.
A Subaru, yeah.
You can expect that when, say, the Ferrari Enzo, where Ferrari pick out people and they're like, would you like the opportunity to buy the Enzo? And then you obviously know that car. You're not even going to drive it. You're just going to get it shipped to your mansion, and then it'll just be parked in the garage, and you just look at it sometimes with a glass of wine in your hand. Yeah. A glass of $10,000 wine in your hand.
Exactly. $100,000 wine. Come on, man. You got
$10,000 for the glass. It's $100,000 for the bottle. Now, but yeah, those kind of cars, you would expect that where they're such a limited release. They're obviously of a incredible auto car maker. But when you think about a Subaru, you don't expect that. But here it is, the 22B, the champion.
And it just says,
if you can steal one. And we're not that we advocate stealing. If you can steal one, then
if one falls off and you can catch it before it falls in the water.
Callum, what about you? Would you get it? Would you get it if you had the chance and you saw one sitting there? Would you go, okay, I know it's wrong to steal, but I might do this?
You know, I don't believe in late stage capitalism, so it depends on the context.
Yeah.
You know, who am I
Obviously a rich person.
reacquiring it from?
A rich person.
Do they have more than one?
Probably, but possibly not. But they have more than.
You know, am I in Mexico?
Yes, yeah, that's the biggest one.
They certainly will have the means to acquire another one if they want.
In certain situations in Mexico, I would consider it.
In Mexico. Only in Mexico.
We would reappropriate the car. We wouldn't steal the car.
We take it for a spin and bring it back. But yeah,
Seize the means of sick burnouts.
hecticness.
You know, as Karl Marx once said.
Good call. But obviously, one of my favorite versions that was ever made was a limited 75 unit Impreza WRX, which was only for the UK market. It was produced by Cosworth. I don't know if you heard about this. The Cosworth tuned, they tuned the standard STI up to 294 kilowatts, and really made it look sinister. Like it had all dark, matte black, accents. It was for the Series 3 WRX. It was a hatch. It was only available as a hatch. It was a full going over. Suspension, brakes, just everything, and it was called the CS400 for 400 horsepower. So a really, really rare car, but really, really sought after. It could do 0 to 100 in I think it was 3.7 seconds. It was something crazy quick, and that was with a 6-speed manual too. So and like from all history shows, Cosworth knows what they're doing when they're tuning cars.
This is going to sound stupid. How do you shift in 3 seconds to get to that speed?
Stay in first.
And then picking up the red light.
Do you start in a higher gear?
No, you'd have it first. But what a lot of people do is that they don't lift shift, so they basically just keep the accelerator plan and just rip it into gear. And that's how they get those really good
Because
times.
3 seconds, that's like JFK, Lee Harvey Oswald shot that many shots in like 3 seconds, and everyone's like, no, he couldn't have, there's got to be... You can't shift that fast.
I don't know a lot about manual cars, but that sounds bad for it.
It isn't great, but it's a proof they could do it. And being Cosworth, I'm guessing they would have said you can do it and you won't break it. But yeah, that was a really limited edition, the CS400. WRXs do have their issues though. One is the rate that they get stolen. That's probably a reason why the originals are worth so much money. And two, the early 5-speed manuals, there's a joke going around that you'll have a coffee table that's made of glass, and it'll be like that coffee table stronger than a Subaru gearbox, because Subaru gearboxes are made of glass. Later, 2.5 litre piston rings had a habit of saying, and head gaskets said, "Yeah, I'm not really interested to be in there," and that happened in the Hawkeye series. So if you can get around that, they are pretty robust. I mean, they took these cars rallying and beat the absolute living crap out of them. So they are a really, really, really good car. Now, James, you had some questions.
Yeah, so I mean, I really want to get a WRX for my second car. I don't want to really settle for another car and then save up. Like, I want to save up for the WRX and get that. I mean, one, I like them because they look really, really cool.
They do.
So you're talking about all the specs that I have no clue about. I just want it because it looks cool. And like, they're all pretty nice to look at. Like I really like the older ones, the boxier ones. There was a bit in the middle there where they got a bit round that I didn't like, but now the newer ones look really cool. So that's what I really like about it. But also, like, you've been talking about all the kind of top shelf premium versions or the rare versions. But I'm like, just in terms of the normal WRX, they're really readily available.
They are.
You can get them for reasonable prices.
I mean, Alan,
especially for me, who's broke.
Yeah, I mean, Alan, you picked yours up a few years ago, and yours is 2005, correct?
2003.
3, and yours is a blob-eye.
Yep.
Not an STI, because STIs do command that premium.
Yeah.
But if you just want a standard WRX, which you'll get 99.9% of the fizz in your pants feeling, as an STI, it's you just want to have that STI badging and the extra power and that extra stiffness. But you'll get an awesome car for you can pick up a good one for 10 grand.
Yeah. So, and also, like, because they're pretty common, if you need a part, it's not going to cost you the same amount as you bought the car for.
No, it's not.
So like that's one of the reasons I want to get it, because they're reliable. They don't cost $1 million, and if you if you need a replacement part, it won't cost you $1 million on top.
I mean, people call them Legos cars because like you can bolt
mix
things
and
on,
match.
mix and match. But from dealing with my mechanic and my good friends who are in the WRX game, they live and breathe WRX. I mean, everyone's got 3. He's like to me, Subaru is one company in particular that does things a bit weird. I mean, the Boxer engine especially is like it's weird because it's not really done anywhere else, but it is a good engine. They, from what he tells me, every 6 months they change certain things on the car. The car might look exactly the same, but mechanically there might be like a few different changes. Like, for example, he was like to me, he wanted to put a 6-speed into his STI, sorry, into his WRX, into his GC8, and same year but different month, and the bell housing was different. So he had to make it different because he had to make it different so you could. It was a way that Subaru was keeping on top of their parts and saying it was stop like copying.
So you can run into those problems.
Those kind of problems, but they're one of those companies that really does that kind of thing. But in terms of availability, there's tons of them around, and the aftermarket for them's huge.
For me as well, like because I only want I don't need turbo. I mean
you could go for a basic Impreza.
I can just go a basic model. But yeah, so like
definitely at least want to be on the WRX. Though.
Yeah, no, I want to get a WRX. And I mean the 4-wheel drive's got to be good.
It is
especially for me.
Especially when you get into a more of a spirited mode, not breaking the law, just spirited.
Not in Mexico.
You certainly do feel the car come into its own, and like you appreciate the all drive. You can kind of throw into that.
Because like the Maserati, as much as I love that the Astina, like it's just like every time I go more than 50, I feel like I'm going to come off the road. So just having 4-wheel drive, I think would just be a lot better for me.
They've got good stability, and they're really planted.
Yeah.
I mean, if you should probably take it for a drive, and you'll see like you don't even have to go 10-10. So you can go just a little bit spirited, and you'll see the road holding on a WRX is phenomenal. Even like a car that's done like yours done quite a few Ks.
It's that 230 now, yeah.
Yeah, but they still hold the road amazingly well, and you don't get the oversteer, and you don't get the severe understeer. It's a medium car.
Yeah,
it's especially when like if you work with the car, when you push it into those corners, you would expect it to understeer, but the rear end surprisingly just comes around with you, and it doesn't slide out or anything, but it comes around with you, and the car does feel pretty planted.
And the good thing is because it's rear biased as well.
And yeah.
I mean, if I got one, I wouldn't drive fast. I'd take really good care of it.
The only other one thing you'd probably want to watch out is for getting to other cars and expecting them to behave similarly.
Yes.
Because I've run into that mistake a couple of times. I've hopped in the Suzuki and like thrown it into a corner. It is not a good idea.
Yeah, but they're definitely a really, really good car, James.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get one.
I wouldn't have done a special on them if I didn't think.
Well, I mean, you could do a special on bad cars, but yeah.
We'll do a DeLorean special one day.
Well, bad is...
DeLoreans are dope, come on.
they're pretty cool. But yeah, like, if there's anyone listening out there, maybe send some go to my Patreon. I don't have a Patreon, but I'll set one up.
We'll call it the
James WRX Fund.
James WRX Fund, and people will hopefully...
I'll contribute by giving you $5, and then
thank you.
That'll be a start. Callum, let's help him start a fund.
All right.
Yeah, a GoFundMe. Well, it's got a GoFundMe page.
Yeah,
I think James is being greedy asking Callum for money. Callum's not on the car yet. We're gonna get Callum his first car.
That's true.
We're gonna start Callum a fund. We're gonna start me a fund for my secret project.
Me for an RS.
We're all starting Patreons. That's it.
But just the money just goes around in circles.
It goes nowhere. With all the money, we'll probably we could put our money together and buy like one car, but then we wouldn't be able to drive because everybody's driving. Well, look, we're gonna go to our last break tonight. We're gonna finish up with an artist called Banks. I played her a couple of weeks ago, and a song's called Underdog. We'll be right back after this. You're back on CarTorque with Matty J. We're about to finish up the show, but this was our first of our selected car of the week episode. So we'll be doing more of them. If you've got a car that you want us to feature, put it on our Facebook page or send us a message because I'll be happy to discuss and say the history and discuss it on the show.
Dacia Sandero.
Done. Next week. I'll phone James May. I'll get him on speed dial. Good news, everybody. But yeah, definitely, we'll be doing more of these history of cars and going through them because they are interesting to look back at a car's history.
It's a good idea.
Educational.
Educational. SMRT.
I think you're gonna have to go over the 1 minute history mark if you go to something like a Mustang.
Yeah.
You're dealing from like 19, what is it?
64.
60? Yeah.
64 and a half to be exact. 64 and a half. I don't know. Americans have weird ways of doing their cars. Like they'll say this year's models next year. So I'm driving a 2018 when it's like built in 2017. But anyway, that's just the way that they've always done it that way. It's a bit odd. Thanks for listening in, guys. Tune in next week 7 p.m. for CarTorque with Matty J. James, give your show a plug.
Man vs. Movies, 6 p.m. every Tuesday. You can like and share the Man vs. Movies Facebook page. The podcast is also on iTunes, Shout Engine, and anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Cool. Listen to our podcast, but we're also on shoutengine.com, on iTunes as well. So subscribe, rate, and review our iTunes page so we get higher up in the rankings. Our Facebook page is CarTorque with Matty J, TORQUE, CarTorque. So we've got all our previous episodes on there. We always upload it every week, and if you've got any questions, give us an email, and we'll be happy to respond. And if you want to come on the show, we'd be happy to have you if you've got an interesting car and want to talk about it. In the meantime, thanks to you guys for coming on.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Anytime.
And I'll see you guys next week. Same time, 7 p.m. Also, tune into Dr. Rock's show for your pleasure on a Monday night at 6 p.m. and on his show on Thursday night with his good mate Fitzy for the Thursday Night Waffle. This has been CarTorque with Matty J. Take it easy.
This is professional radio, gentlemen.
And it's front-wheel drive.
Scotty, have you got anyone you want to thank?
Just myself.
And now I do the after hours. Dun, dun, dun.
Gentlemen, what would you go for?
Dacia Sandero.
Okay, and because it's not a supercar.
But it is.
It's not.
Automotive perfection comes in the form of two letters, A and U.
Long live my LTD.